Hey everybody, Fridays with Flora, and this episode is going to be 2, maybe 3-part episode because we are going to try and have some triage on my roses. Ironically, I was in a Q&A panel a couple weeks ago and we were talking about all things gardening, and roses came up, and I talked about how easy roses were. You could, doesn't matter how cold winter is, as long as you mulch them and you prune them at the right time. I've never had problems. Well, Mother Nature is funny that way. So I was away for a couple weeks, come back, and both my heirloom roses behind me had decided that the rootstock, which is the root base where the heirloom rose was grafted onto. So heirloom roses are usually very delicate. They're not very hardy. They're usually grafted onto 2 or 3 very hardy red roses. They're like usually red or fuchsia. I think one is called something huey. If you guys know the names of these, put them in the comments below and share with the community. But at any rate, what happens sometimes with roses when they've had trauma or they've had a cold winter is that the heirloom part of the plant gets weak, and the rootstock that was grafted, that was used for the graft, starts taking over. So when I came back, I had all these canes, these sucker canes shooting up from the ground, and I had all these hot pink fuchsia flowers on my peach rose bush and on my white English rambler over there. And I've been doing roses, I've been planting roses, growing roses for over 25 years. Never have seen this happen before. I think it was a funky spring, maybe it was a cold winter, I don't know. These roses were doing great last year, so I have no idea what happened. So I was you kind of have 2 options. Let the rose go, which you'll lose your heirloom rose. The rootstock's gonna take over. There you go. You'll say goodbye to your expensive heirloom rose. The other thing you can do is cut the canes down at the base by the root ball, and once you kind of dig around it and dig it up, I ended up digging these up, and I know that is super aggressive and really traumatic, but in my opinion, I was gonna lose these roses anyway, so that's what I did. So I pulled these up, I found where the canes were from. You can tell like what half of that root ball was kind of that hardy stock that it was grafted on. I cut those, I sealed those with wood glue, and then I put them back in the ground with blood meal, bone meal, rose food, compost. I gave it everything I could and hoped for the best. Well, as you can see, this is not good. It's got problems. And I was expecting it to have problems, but it's hanging in there. I do have some still green leaves, and I have a small amount of new growth up at the top, which is encouraging, okay? And the English Rambler is worse than this, and I'm going to show you what these look like, because this is what we're going to do. We're going to create some tonics today that Jerry Baker, who's a master gardener, and he used to be on the PBS a lot. He does a lot of tonics and natural things that aren't full of chemicals, and we're anti-chemical here because we're trying to help our pollinators. So you're going to join me as we put together a spray and a fertilizer and treat these roses, and then we're going to check in on them in a couple weeks and see how they're doing and if these magical tonics work. Because if they work, that'd be great, and I saved these roses. They don't work, we'll see what happens. I might end up shopping for roses this fall, we'll see. And hey, shopping for roses is fun, I'm okay with that. But these roses have sentimental value, I'm really trying to save them. As we're on this journey, if some of you gardeners out there have other tips or, approaches that you have done with roses when this happens, please share below. We're a really great community. We support each other. We share tips and tricks all the time with my videos. So I'm sure there's a gardener out there that is dealing with this and would love to hear from you too. So let's go to my gardening bench and mix up some concoctions. We're gonna get all witchy. All right, so we're gonna start with the spray treatment first, and the spray treatment is more of a pest control, mold control. It also kind of preps the soil, breaks down, kind of softens the soil, helps the plant be able to process the fertilizer that we're going to give it as in the second treatment. So what you need is a end hose sprayer, which I just got at the garden center. Home Depot has these too. And you can fill it with whatever, and then you put it to your hose and you just spray it. So to this, we're going to add a can of beer. I get a cheap beer because this is for my garden. but hey, it's up to you what you want to feed your plants and yourself. So we're going to also add a cup of ammonia. You can imagine this is going to help kill whatever bugaboos. Gotta love Chicago. Half a cup of dish soap. Dish soap is really good for bugs. And I tried to not get an antibacterial. I got just a really simple, mild one. Some of them get really aggressive, and I feel like the ammonia is in here too, so I kind of went with something really mild. Have a cup of lawn food. It's up to you what you want to use. I've got some Miracle Grow liquid feeder that I'm going to put in there. This is just a half a cup. Okay, the final piece of this is some corn syrup, about a half a cup. This is just good old-fashioned sugar. It's going to give it a boost, some fast energy. With this, I am going to spray all my roses, not just the ones that are having trouble. And Jerry says that you can do this treatment every 3 weeks. All right, got it on. Be sure to have this thing off until you're ready to go. This is my English rose. It's really pretty. It's a peach one. Not so pretty right now. This is the new growth trying up here. So I have hope. This one I don't have so much hope for. We'll see. We'll see. This one, this is the only cane that was left. So it's not in good shape. Neither is my siding, but just ignore that. We're dealing with that this fall. So, okay, we're gonna spray these down. Okay, so while that's kind of draining into the soil and just kind of getting settled, we're going to create our fertilizer mixture. So if you think that mixture was crazy, wait till you see this mixture. It's pretty crazy. But I trust Jerry Baker. He's the boss. And if you are curious about his other concoctions, he's got a ton of books out you can get at the library. And he does have his videos on YouTube. You can find them. So I really got these tonics from his channel. So, you know, we're just gonna keep an eye on my roses and see how they do. So this fertilizer is 1 quart per bush. So quart is 8 cups of water. I have that sitting here, and we're gonna start mixing some fun things. So the first thing we're gonna need, better keep this open. All right, first things first, 2 tablespoons of liquid fish fertilizer. I got this at the garden store. You can also get it on Amazon. It smells really bad, but it's amazing fertilizer for your flowers. This I know. To this, we are going to add 2 teaspoons of instant tea. You can just get Lipton. That's what this is. I'm going to mix that in there. This is cold brew, so it's probably not going to dissolve as fast, but that's what I had. So if you just got some just Lipton iced tea, that'll work. Try to get the unsweetened kind without too many, weird chemicals and stuff in there. To this, we're adding baking powder. Jerry Baker says that it's got, it's a leavener, and so it lightens things for the rose bush. Next thing is liquid iron, and this is kind of hard to find. People that have anemia use this when the pills are too hard on their stomach. Walgreens has this online. I found this on Amazon. So 1 teaspoon of that. And the final thing, you're gonna say to yourself, what a waste of wine. But you know what? You just need a teaspoon, so the rest can go to you, depending on how many bushes you have. So 1 teaspoon of wine, mix that in. And pour it at the base of your rose around the drip line, the whole quart. Okay, so that's it. We treated our roses. We'll see what happens. This will be a good experiment for all of us, right? So we'll check back in 2 weeks and take a look at them and see. I mean, we're looking for new growth that doesn't have disease on it, I think, because we're getting black spot. I mean, you saw what condition they were in. And I knew what I did was aggressive, but once that that hardy rootstock starts taking over that rose bush, it's really, really hard to get the heirloom part to just continue to be the rose. From everything I understand, they revert back to they go native. They're not really native, but that's what I mean, right? So anyway, thanks for joining me today. And I hope, for those of you that think, you're afraid to garden because you're going to mess stuff up and you've got a brown thumb. And here I am, I've been gardening for, over 25 years, and I've had many properties and have redone garden after garden. And you know what? I have problems too, It's okay. Plants are usually pretty resilient. And if they're not, you usually can coax them back. And if not, just get another plant. It's okay. But the fun of growing things is really, really great, and you help the environment, especially if you use cultivars like roses and mix them with natives. But that's a whole other conversation. Anyway, don't be scared. We all make mistakes, and it's okay. It really, really is. So anyway, get out there and garden, get out there and craft, get out there and make your world a lovelier, happier place. Thank you. Mwah. Subscribe to the channel down below. Boop, boop, that button. And I'll see you in a couple weeks. Happy 4th, too. Happy 4th of July.